Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle D, or Coach Danni D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas. And I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hey, this is Coach Danny D with Profits in Pajamas podcast. And I'm also the owner of Workflow, where I help small businesses play big. So this episode of the podcast, I don't know if I want to say heavy, but um, we're coming off of yet another mass shooting, and in this case, you know, with children, small children involved, and so I really wanted to, touch on the importance of mental health days. And this is not speaking to, anything about the actual event itself. I have no idea what, happened as far as the why of it all. And I don't know that there's a why that's going to make it make sense, right? But what I want to talk about is, when you are working for a employer, there's always sometimes people actually, depending on the employer, take it very seriously and allow employees to take what they would call mental health days. Other times, it's, kind of like a little running joke. I've worked places where, it's kind of like, oh, I need to take a mental health day, but it's not necessarily taken as seriously as, it probably should be. As entrepreneurs, though, a lot of times we feel as though um, we have to be on all of the time. And of course, you guys know my work with ease philosophy and everything that comes from behind profit in pajamas. That's not the way I think that things should be, but that is often how we are ingrained as entrepreneurs, is that everything has to be on the grind all the time. I've had people say, if you don't get that inquiry that comes in at 3 a.m., then your competitor will, and blah 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 blah. Again, it's not how I look at things. I if the requirement of that person is that someone is available at 3 a.m., then I'm not the correct vendor for them. So that's just my view on that. I will bend over backwards for my clients that, are my clients and that we're a good fit. But sometimes the answer is no. And if the answer being no is problematic, then that's probably not a good fit. But I'm veering off topic. Um, Mental health days. So again, these shootings, these events that are happening in life are happening more frequently because of the internet and everything else. We're hearing about them more often, and we don't always give ourselves the right to process those things in the way that we need to. And, not just, something like a shooting, the pandemic that was very traumatic for a lot of people, either because of loss of life of family members and friends, because of the isolation. If you're not accustomed to being, if you went from, being very active to being isolated, that's a whole huge transition. Um, just the idea of the uncertainty of it all, of, disease, a new disease that nobody knows what's happening. So, and then the, back and forth debate and all of that stuff that went on as well. So all of those things happened, and we just keep going because life goes on, right? So we just keep moving. And when the shooting happened, I think that was last week. It's sad that I can't even pinpoint. But when the shooting happened in New York, I had a friend ask a question in a group that I'm in that, was about, is it weird that I feel emotionally impacted by this, and I have to go to the grocery store and that is bothering me. And no, there's nothing at all weird about that, because until that happened, you didn't think about going to the grocery store and maybe not coming back home. Just like there are millions of parents right now that are thinking about whether or not their children are going to come back home. You didn't think about those things because that wasn't a part of your reality until this thing happened. And we're all going to receive information different. We're all going to process information different. And, I also just want to make sure to give condolences to the parents whose kids did not come home. And and as far as I know, it was one teacher, and her family. But, as far as mental health days, we need to be able to be aware of our emotion, our emotional state, and give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves. However that may look, whatever that may mean. It may mean, what, today I'm not dealing with clients. That might be your, what you need to do for, a day. Or I may, decide to put myself into a particular project to take my mind off of things. Whatever that looks like for you, I want you to, one, start being aware of your emotions. And I have several other videos, and I'll probably do a podcast episode about this, about emotional awareness. Be aware of your emotions. We're often told that, be fearless, be this, be that. I don't believe that that's a thing. I don't believe fearless is a thing, because you're always going to have fear. It is a natural emotion. You're going to have that. It's learning it and learning how to navigate it and learning how to make sure that it doesn't stop you. It's the same with all the rest of your emotions. Recognize what your anxiety looks like. What are those triggers? What does that feel like when it's um in its onset? What does that look and feel like? When your fear is in its onset, what does that look and feel like? When you are, in a state that you need to rest, what does that look and feel like? When you learn those things, when you start to pick up on those cues, then you can start to set up support for yourself to help you navigate those emotions. I'll use the example the other day. I was dealing with a job. It was a big job that was coming up, and we've done this job before, but still big jobs, bring on a bit of anxiety. And I could feel it. And when I felt it, I had to take a moment. And that's kind of what mental health day is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a day, and it doesn't have to be as long as a day, and it doesn't have to be as short as a day. It has to be what makes sense for you. But I could feel it coming on, and I had to take a moment to ground myself, to just be quiet, ground myself, remind myself, okay, these are the steps. You've done this so far. You have this left to do, and refocus that mind, and switch it away from the anxious thoughts to feeling more in control of the situation. I just want you to know that as a business owner, you get to decide. And sometimes, it's not that simple or easy. Sometimes you may have an event today, or if you have a business that has a storefront or whatever that looks like, you may not be able to just, change at the drop of a hat. But, sometimes you have to, quote unquote, break those rules. Sometimes you have to be able to say that. I had an appointment, excuse me, last week, and it was in the mix of a lot of other things going on. And I knew that I could not dedicate my time appropriately, um, because I knew my mind was on, working through these other things and getting them done. So I hate to cancel, I hate to change things on people, but that's what was needed in that moment because the reality of it is I was not going to be able to give that person the part of me that they needed. So I reached out, and we're all human beings. They completely understood, and we were able to reschedule that appointment. But I rather, one, take care of myself because if I'm not here, I can't serve anyone else. But two, then also make sure that I'm showing up as that best self for others. So if you're still in that space where you feel like self care is selfish, I definitely want to work on that with you. But I just want you to know self care is not selfish. It's, yes, it's about taking care of you, but when you are your best you can best serve whomever it is that you are tasked to serve. So, again, I'm praying for those those parents that kids did not make it back home yesterday, the, teacher and her family, and everyone else that, is experiencing this right now, that is, really seeing some of the ugly sides of life right now. And anybody that's struggling, regardless of what it may be, know that it is okay. Reach out for whatever help that you need, be it your friends, family, therapist, whatever it is. Reach out your church, reach out for help, and give yourself grace to process things because these are not normal things. We should not be normalizing these types of things happening, but because they keep happening, we have kind of no choice but to normalize them, and that's weird. And you know, speaking back to the friend who was, anxious about going to the grocery, that's not weird. That's a normal reaction to having the information that people can just walk in a store and just start shooting up people, right? That's not the weird thing. The weird thing is that it's become sort of normal for there to be these mass shootings. The fact that just in the last, I think, month, I can't even list off because I'm scared I'm going to forget one. Like, that's insane. So do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And this doesn't just apply to, huge traumatic events. It applies to day-to-day life. Some days you're tired. You can go back and, listen to one of the previous podcast episodes where I talked about taking a nap. Sometimes you just need to take the nap. Some days you need to just, you know, take the easier route or, you know, protect your peace, protect your I don't know how to want to say it, like bereavement. Protect the fact that you are going through something, and that's okay. And if you're not in a position where you can fully take a mental health day, maybe change the scope of what that day looks like. So maybe that day is I'm not seeing clients today. I'm just going to work on my own. Or maybe if the seeing clients part is the part that's going to kind of bring you a little bit of joy, then, and you're not really wanting to be alone, maybe that's where you shift your focus for the day. But learn yourself, learn your emotional cues, and learn how to support yourself when you are experiencing emotion. All right, guys, I'm going to go and take care of myself. And I want you guys to have a great rest of your day. I hope that you can, find moments to, really reflect, take care of yourself. And the last thing I want to say is also just, know that um, we never know what's going to happen in life. So make sure that you're living your life to the fullest. So I'm gonna let you guys go. If you want to, stay in touch, you want to follow me, you can always follow me at your workflow either on Instagram or on Facebook. My website is Coach Danny D, and that's with two N's, CoachDannyD.com. If you want to look into my coaching services, I have all the information of getting in touch with me there. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast episode and go back and binge watch the ones that maybe you missed. All right, have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at CoachDannyD.com.